The subject of today's video is maintaining the tension. Maintaining the tension is a high-level abstract concept that can revolutionize your chess game. So I personally first heard of this concept from the Josh Waitzkin Chess Master video lecture series, which you can watch in the Chess Master Grandmaster Edition or one of the other Chess Master products. It completely changed the way I think about chess. A simple example is, let's say you have a pin of a knight with a bishop, and the bishop is pinning the knight, let's say to the opponent's queen. Now, if you maintain the tension, you simply leave the pin on the board and you do not take the knight. To release the tension, you would capture the knight. So, as any good chess player would know, maintaining the tension of the pin can mean that you can get much more profit out of the pin than just immediately releasing the tension and exchanging the piece. For instance, you could attack the pin piece and win it. You could do things on other sides of the board and get some kind of positive result. Another example of maintaining the tension is when you have a situation where you can exchange a piece. As I'll show on the board, when you have the option to exchange an opponent's piece, often it's better not to execute that exchange, because the piece that he captures back with could put him in a better position, whereas your piece that captures his piece will disappear from the board. So those are some examples of maintaining the tension, and now I'm going to go into specific detail and show you what it's all about. Alright, one more thing about the concept of maintaining the tension. It's not just pins and exchanges that it applies to. It's basically the concept of maintaining the pressure that you have on the position, adding to the pressure, maintaining the complexity of the position, and not clarifying unnecessarily, accepting more and more complexity. And there's various reasons for doing this. First of all, if you always clarify a position and you don't have the ability to deal with the complexity of a position that is unclarified, you have some kind of weakness in your game. I mean, maybe sometimes you would clarify, maybe you would trade pawns in a certain situation. But if you always do something in chess, it's usually a bad sign. The other advantage of maintaining the tension is psychological. The more threats an opponent has to deal with, the more mounting complexity. If you're better prepared to deal with that, if you're better used to being in that situation, you will come out ahead. So the first example I'm going to give is pretty basic, but shows the general idea. So it's white to move here, and first of all, let's show what releasing the tension would be. You can see that there is a pin here on this knight. The knight is pinned to the queen. So we have some kind of tension here, and the tension is caused by this bishop, which is attacking this knight and pinning this queen. So releasing the tension would be to simply just capture the knight. And you can see this is bad because now there's just no pressure. Like Nimzowitsch said, the threat is stronger than the execution. By actually executing our threat of capturing the knight, there's just nothing left for white. There's no attack, black's king is safe, and nothing good came of it. Instead, if we play queen f3, we're adding pressure to the position, we're maintaining the tension, and now black has a problem to deal with. He's going to have to step forward to protect the knight. And again, white could take the knight, but it's not a good idea. Instead, he's going to use his other pieces. Maybe he's going to bring this knight on a route here to add pressure to the pin piece. Maybe he's going to push this h-pawn up the board and try to attack with the h-pawn, and maybe there's some way he can get a rook into the game. But the main point is that we're going to add to the pressure, and we're not going to execute the threats because the threats just don't lead to anything if they're executed. So that's a very simplistic example of maintaining the tension, and yes, the concept does go a lot deeper than that, but here's the first example. Now I'm going to talk about exchanging and how it relates to my concept of maintaining the tension. So here's a move, bishop g4. Usually in these king-pawn openings, bishop g4 can be a huge mistake. Often the knight can move and attack f7 and get a discovery on the bishop, so it's very dangerous. In this case, black is forced to exchange for the white knight if white plays correctly, and he's going to lose time. So if white captures the pawn on e5, first of all, black can't recapture on e5, because if he does, white can trade queens and then win a pawn here. He's also attacking the bishop, so this is a total disaster for black. So if black wants to avoid that, he's going to take on f3. And here's where you can see where exchanging a developed piece for a developed piece loses time for the side that exchanges if the opponent can recapture with a developing move. So after bishop takes f3, queen takes f3, d takes d5, you see that white has 2 developed pieces and black has 1. And black has lost time. So because this bishop has to leave the board, because exchanging actually removes the piece from the board, but in this case white actually develops a piece and black captures back. Now you can see that white has gained, you know, a tempo or 2 tempos. So let's say he plays bishop c4 and gets another threat against f7. White has 3 pieces developed, black has 1. So you can see that exchanging when your opponent can recapture with a developing move loses time. Sometimes it can lose 2 tempos, sometimes it'll lose 1 tempo. Here's another example on unforced exchanges that I thought was very instructive. This example comes from the book The Search for Chess Perfection by Purdy. And it is black's move here. White has played rook to f8. And his basic idea is this. If black captures his rook, white will capture back, and you can see that black lost his rook, and white's knight was developed to a better square where it attacks the g6 pawn. So by doing this exchange, white is trying to improve his position by initiating an exchange that the piece that captures back is actually developed to a better square. So the move that Purdy gives is actually quite interesting. Instead of capturing the rook and going into with white's plan, he actually maintains the tension and plays rook c8. Now this is really interesting because now if white initiates the exchange, now black develops a piece and he develops his king to c8 where it's actually ready to enter into the game. So you can see both sides were trying to get the other side to trade because in both cases the piece that recaptured would improve the position of that side. Unfortunately, that's going to bring this video to an end. There's a lot more that can be said on the topic, and I do plan to make further videos about maintaining the tension, and I'll give more examples. If you want to see more examples of this concept, please check out the Chess Master DVDs or whatever they are with Josh Waitzkin. They are some of the best lectures I've ever seen on chess, and this is my first chess video in a long time, so if you like it, please subscribe, and everybody have a good one.